What's going on, Mile City? Welcome back to Broncos Country News. I'm your host and anchor, Caleb Malden. So, we have officially reached a pretty important point in the Broncos season. They are 3-6. And, of course, we're coming off of one of our worst games, and Drew Lock did not play good in that game. And now Broncos Country they're calling for Drew Lock's head. There's a questions of, should he be benched? Should we go get another quarterback? Should we draft one, trade for one? Blah, 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 blah. So it's time for my real thoughts. And I've really thought about this. Yes, things do not look good right now. Things are very bad. Drew Lock did not play good. The whole offense looks out of sync. This team just looks very out of sorts. So, I refer you back to my Managing Expectations for the 2020 season video, and I'll put a link to that video in the description at the end of this video, and I'll put a link in the description below as well. The Denver Broncos were going into the season with some question marks, some high expectations, some high hopes after the way they'd finished last year. But I did mention that there was a chance this could be a rough season, that things would not go as we planned, that we would have a rough year, Drew Lock could have a rough year, and things could just go very, very for the Broncos. Things have gone exactly that. They have not gone as we planned. We are in a very bumpy state right now. Things are very much teetering, if to put it kindly. And here's the thing. To those saying that Drew Lock sucks, that they're done with him, that they're out on him, I totally get it. I completely understand it. It's totally fair. But here is why I am not giving up on Drew Lock and why I think, A, benching him is not a good idea, and B, why the Broncos just need to ride this out. So, if many people don't know, guys, rookie quarterbacks, and I get that Drew Lock isn't technically a rookie, but the dude hasn't even played 16 years yet. This is a growing year. Whole new system, a whole new team, a lot of young players. This is a growing year. And unfortunately, with growing years come growing pains. If you guys go back and watch Brett Kollmann's video of Drew Lock, which I will tag here, he did mention that sometimes the journey to becoming a good quarterback, first you have to figure out how not to be a bad one. And how do you figure out by not being a bad one? You're going to have rough games. And Drew's had some rough games. This game was terrible. He threw 4 interceptions. Every quarterback has a terrible game. Everyone does. Just ask Ben Roethlisberger, who threw 5 interceptions against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I want to reference you this. Peyton Manning, when the Colts drafted him in the number 1 overall pick, they were 3-13 when they drafted Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning started all 16 games for the Colts. They finished the year 3-13 again. He had a 56.7% completion percentage, and he threw a career rookie record 28 picks. He threw 28 interceptions. That is still the record for most interceptions ever thrown by a rookie quarterback. And Peyton Manning even joked in his retirement speech that he's still rooting for a rookie to break that record. For those that don't know, that's averaging 1.75 picks a game, so almost averaging 2 interceptions a game. Ouch. John Elway, when he was a rookie for the Broncos, he started 10 games of 16. He was 4-6 in those games. He had a 47.5% completion percentage. He had 1,663 yards, 7 touchdowns, 14 picks. This is John Elway we're talking about here. He also had a 56.3% completion percentage in his second year, 2,598 yards, 18 touchdowns, 15 picks. Not great. Better. Not great. Then his third year, 54% completion percentage, 3,891 yards, 22 touchdowns, 23 picks. The Broncos did not win a playoff game until John Elway's 4th year. That's when he had the drive. Elway said that's when he finally kind of got over the hump of people respecting him as a player. The Broncos stuck it out with John Elway, and it took him a little while. They stuck it out with Peyton Manning. The Colts did. They did not bench him. Sometimes the best way to learn is you just kind of got to throw him into the fire and you got to see what he does. Sometimes the kid, he's just going to have to figure it out. He's going to have to figure it out. And it's rough to say that because I saw one comment from a Bronco fan on a video, and I thought it was kind of funny and a little relevant today. Today's NFL is all about instant gratification, especially sometimes with this fan base. It's all about we want success immediately. And I get it. We all want success now. We all wanted to make the playoffs. We all wanted to go show that we're here and dominate. But is that reality? They said had John Elway been around with this kind of fan base, he would not have lasted more than 2-3 seasons. They'd have run him out. They would have kicked Elway to the curb. And Elway was a number 1 overall pick playing like that. Peyton Manning, number 1 overall pick playing like that. I'm sure fans were not happy. In fact, I remember I talked with my grandpa, who was alive. He said he watched John Elway play, and he said that a lot of Broncos fans were like, really? They paid a lot for this bum? They're like, who's this guy, this Elway? Who is he? He's a bum. They were done with John Elway, but the organization stuck it out, and it paid dividends. The Colts stuck it out with Peyton Manning. It paid dividends. Truth be told, this was always going to be a process. It wasn't always going to be fun. I knew Drew Lock was going to have a game or two like this, and I was always dreading it. And man, when it doesn't mean it's any easier when it happens. Again, I get people who are upset with Drew. I was upset with him today. I get people who, they're done with him. I get it. But you have to ride this out if you're the Broncos. You can't bench him. It's not good for this team. You have to let the kid grow. And people say, well, it might shatter his confidence. Well, of course that's always a risk. But if he can at least try to prove he can withstand the heat, and not just in the pocket, but of all the media, of all the critics, if he can prove that, hey, I'm here, I'm the tough guy. Drew Lock even one time even said it in a quote. He said, it's the toughest guys who last the longest. You're going to have bad games. You're going to have terrible games. You're going to have games where everyone wants you launched out of a catapult. You just got to be willing to suck it up and accept, yeah, I had a bad game. Every quarterback has a game they'd like to forget. Drew Lock had his game today. A game you would love to forget. Everyone has one. My thoughts on Drew Lock? I wish he was playing better. I wish he was more consistent. I think next year we might get a better look at what he is. And I have seen lots of comments from fans, and I know people don't like making excuses. I don't like making them either. But they have said it is hard to get a gauge on this team. It's hard to get a gauge. It's hard to, with all the injuries and all the shuffling and all the growing and the new system and all this weird stuff with no offseason, no pre... I'm wondering if when I was really thinking about playoffs and all that, was I really looking at the reality of the situation? I'm not saying have bad expectations, but I am saying make sure when you have expectations, have some reality. Have reality put in. I'm not giving up on Drew Lock because I recognize this is just the way of the NFL. It is not easy. John Elway was seen as a savior when brought to the Mile High City when he was a quarterback. And yet, the first couple of years, he was the one who often needed saving. But he showed flashes. His skills were evident, and he showed that he had the talent necessary. Drew has shown he has the talent necessary. His athletic skills are evident. I'm not saying Drew Lock is going to be John Elway. But what I am saying is that the Broncos need to stick this out with him. They got to. They absolutely have to. It's not going to be fun. And it won't always be easy. But if you truly believe in this guy, like Vic Fangio said, then you have to give him a shot. The only way he's going to get better is by playing. People say, well, he needs to learn and sit on the bench. The best teacher is the job itself. And again, like I said, sometimes the journey to becoming a good quarterback is learning how not to be a bad one first. You got to have games like this. You're going to make mistakes. I believe Drew can get better. I mean, you can't get worse than 4 picks. Now, I do believe that if Drew keeps playing like this, there will, of course, need to be a conversation brought up. That's for another time. But right now, the reason I am not bailing on Drew is because I think he's going to get better. And I know I'm trying to be an optimist. I'm trying to be somewhat positive. It's just who I am as a person. I hate being negative. I will, of course, point out the negatives. I just put out a reaction where I was so bummed. I was so bummed. It's hard to not be when you're getting blown out 37-12. But I always take a step back, let my emotions flush out of me, and try to make a clear and concise point. My point is, let the kid grow. As much as fans don't want to hear it, they're going to have to ride this out. Maybe even at least one more season. Then, if it doesn't work, we can talk about rebuilding. As much as fans, again, I know that they don't want to hear it. I know that we may not want to keep saying it. We are rebuilding. Truth be told, with how young this roster is, we have to say that we're rebuilding. And I saw a friend share a quote that I thought was prevalent to this. Here's what he told me. Perhaps happiness is not always to be found in the journey uphill, and not in the fleeting sense of satisfaction awaiting at the next peak. Truth be told, success in the NFL is never straight up. You got to go through some peaks and valleys. Got to have some tough love. And I know people love pointing at the Chiefs like, well, they went to the Super Bowl, right away with Mahomes. Actually, if you look, that entire team was there before Mahomes was. And they had to deal with a lot of ones and dones in the playoffs. They had to deal with a lot of ins and outs. It's just life in the NFL. And then when Mahomes got there, right place, right time. It worked out. But before then, they had to go through a lot of playoff losses. It's just the way it is in the NFL. And for the Broncos, this means going through a lot of growing pains. That's why I say I'm not bailing on Drew. Because things are going to be tough, guys. We can only hope he gets better. I think he's going to, personally. If you don't think he's going to get better, again, I get it. But for me, I can't bail on him. Until the organization does, I'm not going to either. We're riding or dying with Drew Lock, and I think he'll get better. I hope he does. I sincerely hope he gets better. Anyway, guys, that's it for me. Those are just my thoughts right now on Drew Lock and on this season. Again, I hope it gets better. I hope it gets better. At this point, the Broncos have... Drew Lock, at the very least, has hit rock bottom, so at least he has to get better. He has to get better. Anyway, guys, I hope that... hope you guys leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of the video. Let me know what you think about what I've said. If you agree or disagree. I'm sure plenty of you disagree. Again, this is just my one man's opinion. I respect those of you who think differently. Your thoughts are warranted. It's warranted. Anyways, that's it for me, guys. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Be sure to check out my podcast. I put all the links in the description below. Be sure to check me out on SoundCloud, Buzzsprout, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts. Be sure to check out the blog post where I'll have a written extension of this video and of the Raider game. Anyways, that's it for me, guys. Keep your heads high, Broncos fans, as much as you can. Anyways, that's it for me. Broncos Country 303. I'll see you guys later.